Now, what we can do, first, I have already mentioned the memorandum trading account, right? And now we have to do the statement showing the loss of stock by fire, right? So, how can we do that? The closing stock, which we have calculated as a balancing figure, that should be considered as the value of stock on the date of fire as per from the memorandum trading account, right? So, value of stock means on the date of fire still I have a value of stock of rupees 80,000, right? Because the fire took place on 17/9, so on that date still I have a stock of rupees 80,000. So I have mentioned it from memorandum trading account. Value of stock on the date of fire, which is 80,000, right? Okay. And I have already salvaged a certain stock. First, I have salvaged a stock of rupees 11,200, and then I have salvaged a stock of 10,400, which has been damaged partially, not fully, partially. So the total salvaged I have saved. It has to be deducted. We know that I have saved it from the fire. Value of stock salvaged, sorry, so 11,200 plus 10,400, 21,600, right? I have saved 21,600, and this is basically the actual loss of stock, actual loss of stock, or you can consider as gross claim. What? Gross claim. So I have stroke it and mention it, actual loss of stock or a gross claim. If you deduct 80,000 from 21,600 from 80,000, you will get 58,400. Now we have to see that whether this value is lesser than the insured value. If it is lesser, then average clause will be applicable. If it is higher from the insured value, then average clause will not be applicable. So, considering this factor, we see that here, now below that, we see that here insured value has been given rupees 75,000, but actual loss of stock is 58,400, right? 58,400. So insured value is lesser than insured value is greater than actual loss, or you can write, so actual loss you can write, or actual loss of stock is lesser than insured value, so average clause is applicable. What I have mentioned here, insured value is 75,000, which has been given in the sum, and sorry, I made a mistake. It will be value of stock on the date of fire. Sorry. So what we can see, sorry for inconvenience. Here insurance value is 75,000, but value of stock on the date of fire is 80,000, right? What I have mentioned, if value of stock on the date of fire is greater and in policy value or insured value is lesser than that, then only average clause is applicable. So here policy value or insured value, policy value is lesser than the stock value, right? Policy value is lesser than the stock value, so average clause is applicable. Insured value means policy value. You can write it policy value. By stroke you can write it policy value. Insured value means the policy values. Here the policy value is 75,000, but the value of stock on the date of fire which is 80,000. So I will compare with the value of stock on the date of fire with the policy value. So value of stock, if the value of stock is greater than the policy value, then average clause is applicable. But if value of stock is lesser than the policy value or vice versa, means if policy value is lesser than the value of stock, then applicable. If policy value is greater than the value of stock on the date of fire, then average clause is not applicable. So here we find that the value of stock on the date of fire is 80,000, but policy value is 75,000. So it is very obvious that value of stock has been greater than the policy value. So average clause is applicable. So therefore, now we have to find out the net claim. Net claim is equal to, the formula is actual loss of stock, or we can say that gross claim into policy value divided by insurable value. Insurable value, or what we can say insurable value or value of stock on the date of fire, or value of stock on the date of fire. Okay, this is the formula. Actual loss of stock or gross claim multiplied by policy value divided by insurable value or value of stock on the date of fire. Only if average clause is applicable, then we have to find out net claim. Otherwise, if we see that there is no policy value given in the sum, or if there is no average clause is applicable in the sum, what we will consider that the gross claim or the actual loss of stock, what is here is 58,400, that will be considered as the net claim if the sum remains silent. But if the sum says that there has been a policy value and we know the policy value is lesser than the value of stock on the date of fire, then average clause will be applicable, and then the net claim formula will arise. Otherwise, there will be no such case of average clause applicability. Okay, as here insurance value or insurable value or policy value is 75,000 and value of stock is 80,000, means policy value is lesser than the value of the stock, so average clause is applicable. Suppose the policy value is given 90,000 and value of stock is 80,000, means value of stock is greater than the policy value, or we can say that policy value is greater than the value of stock. Obviously it is 90,000 and it is 80,000, so policy value is greater than the value of stock. So in that case, there will be no such applicability of average clause. Okay, but here as it is lower than the value of stock, so average clause is applicable. So actual loss of stock, we know that, which is 58,400, or gross profit into policy value is given 75,000 divided by value of stock on the date of fire or insurable value, which is 80,000. Okay, if you calculate that, that will be your net claim, which is 54,750. That will be your net claim, 54,750. Okay, so you see that the gross claim is higher than the net claim, obviously. Means you have insured a stock of 75,000. You have insured a stock of 75,000. You are expecting that whatever the amount has been damaged, I will be getting 75,000, but that is not the case. You will not get 75,000. The company has certain terms and policies, and so on that basis they will calculate what is the actual loss you can get from this policy. So you will be getting 54,750 of the stock you have damaged due to fire out of 75,000. Means suppose you have damaged more than 2 lakh, but you have made a policy of 75,000. Means on that 75,000 you will get from the insurance company an amount of 54,750. Okay, this is the sum. This is how we should do the sum in case of insurance claim. This is one sum of including the average clause, but suppose average clause will not be applicable in certain sums, so statement showing the loss of stock of fire, that will be the answer. Means the actual loss of stock or gross claim, whatever you will be getting, that will be considered as the net claim if and only if policy value has not been given in the sum. Okay, I hope you will understand that. If you have any doubts, you can query through CR, but please go through the sum carefully, see my video repeatedly, try to understand it, then try to make the query. Okay, thank you for watching. Have a nice day ahead.